I liked it. I did like it, but I think a lot of it went over my head, because I was thinking about I don't want to spoil it for people at all, but what about the part?
Oh, that was...
Oh, okay. But what about the part where it was
Oh, that was because
oh, that makes more sense. But then what?
Well, I was thinking about that, but I think it was because of...
Welcome everybody to Tavern Talk. I am Philip, and joining me this week is Dr. J. Ruud. Thank you for being here, Mr. Ruud. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. No,
Great being here.
Thank you for taking the time out to do it. Dr.
I got
Ruud.
all the time in the world. I'm retired.
Okay. Well, he's retired now, but Dr. Ruud was a professor of literature, specialized in medieval literature, correct? Yeah, and but now you are a novelist in your own right. Check out jruud.com. You can find movie reviews, book reviews. If you're in or around Conway, Arkansas, restaurant reviews, all kinds of stuff. I'm excited to get your input on this week's movie. And again, thank you for being here. This is Tavern Talk. And so we're here at Movie Tavern talking about movies, and this week's movie is at ASTRA. It is the latest movie from director James Gray. If you're not familiar with that name, James Gray has directed things like The Immigrant, Two Lovers. A few years ago, or just a couple of years ago, he directed a movie called The Lost City of Z, starring Charlie Hunnam. But this is kind of bigger than anything he's done before, at least as far as scope and movie star goes. This is starring Brad Pitt, and there are other names. You have Liv Tyler here, you have Donald Sutherland, a couple other people that you'll probably recognize, character actors, but this is ultimately Brad Pitt's movie, and I'm always excited for a science fiction, more appropriately for this one, kind of a grounded science fiction movie that isn't afraid to go, to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the universe. I don't know where my limits are here. I don't want to spoil too much. But no, initial reaction, what did you think of Ad Astra?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It was very cerebral and quiet, which you don't really expect much from a science fiction movie. It's not Star Wars.
No. This is it. Yeah, it feels like a big sci-fi movie in a lot of regards, or at least aesthetically. But in terms of what it's about and how it's executed, it is like you're saying, very just existing in the vacuum of space.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
In fact, it was a kind of Odyssey, if you know the Odyssey, it's a telemachia. It's the son searching for the father.
Right. Yes.
And it derives right from that.
Yeah, and it visually, it did conjure up 2001 a lot. Just speaking to the visuals in it, what I thought was kind of interesting is, like you were saying, a lot of science fiction films these days are just wall-to-wall special effects, and there's just kind of a sheenness to them that doesn't really feel like you can exist in that actual world, whereas in this one, it did feel not necessarily, because it is set in the distant, it's set in the near future.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's probably at least a century or so into the future, maybe.
Yeah, they've got colonies on Mars and stuff. So.
Right. Which is another thing what I was kind of getting at is it feels so grounded in so many ways, visually and just how everything is realized, but at the same time it really is kind of out there in terms of how far advanced our civilization has become.
Yeah. Far enough advanced that you have a flight to Neptune.
Yeah.
Which is 2.7 billion
miles
away.
Right.
And there are a few things in it that I thought, oh, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take to travel 2.7 billion miles? I think they said something like 79 days.
79 days, yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to do the math.
Right.
You travel 2.7 billion miles in 79 days. You're going what? I don't know.
You're going really fast.
20 billion miles or 20 million miles a day or something. Which you certainly can't do that now.
No, yeah, that's what I was like.
Better rockets.
Yeah, because in the beginning it says in the near or in the not too distant future or something like that. Yeah. But then once we kind of got into the semantics of it, I was like, this is pretty far off if we're talking realistically here. But no, yeah, there were some of the issues I took with it too were like not necessarily. Logic jumps or anything like that, but there were those kind of questions that arose like, oh, if his father's, and I'm sorry, we're not too far into the review here, but we're going to go ahead and throw up a spoiler alert because that's just where we're at, because you can't really talk about a lot of this movie without getting into the detail of it. We won't give away too much, but just as far as, a few plot points, a few details, we might get into some. But yeah, like his father has been gone for nearly 30 years or something like that, but he's only made it to this point where his son was able to get to in that 3 months or so, and so it was like, oh, why is he only there? Why did he decide to rest here? And maybe I missed that. I don't know if I missed an explanation for that, but yeah, there were a few things like that. But
basically, they're at the edge of the solar system.
Right,
so,
right.
There's far from the sun's interference, I guess, as they
get
them. And he's trying to. The project is to try to find intelligent life somewhere else in the universe, and they don't want the interference of the sun, I guess.
Yeah, the ultimate goal of the quest of the Odyssey is contact with other intelligent life, and I didn't know how far it was going to go as far as like the fiction of the science was concerned, but I think it walked that line really well as far as being very willing to go to the furthest reaches of space, yet keeping the themes very close to what present day humans can relate to.
Yeah.
But no, was there anything talking thematically that stood out to you that really hit home with you or anything like that?
Well, the whole search for the father theme is kind of archetypal.
Yeah.
And so I think that resonates with anybody at any time. So it doesn't, whether it's set in the future or the past or whenever. It's a Freudian kind of thing where he has to sort of rebel against the influence of his father in order to be fully human himself.
Right, deal with those sins and kind of try to make well on those, and a lot of it was just about, or what kind of struck me was this idea of the burden that the Tommy Lee Jones character carried and like felt that he had to achieve when it never really seemed like he considered like the purpose of that, whereas Brad Pitt's character was through the sins of his father was able to realize what he was missing out on or what he wasn't able to, and that again is another kind of archetypal idea, and it didn't shine as much of a new light on that as I was hoping, but I think the character work there was strong enough that I understood what Gray was going for and definitely appreciated how he got there. I don't know, anything else that stood out to you, or?
I think Gray said himself that he had Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness in mind when he was making the movie, and it's very. It follows the pattern of that story pretty closely, really, and even more closely, probably Apocalypse Now, which is based on the Heart of Darkness. Even has that voiceover that you get in Apocalypse Now from Martin Sheen through the whole movie.
Right.
It's Brad Pitt talking in this voiceover as he's going after.
I was gonna say, especially as it's like executing a plan or something like that. Yeah.
And even that scene, there's a scene in the beginning where he meets with all these military bigwigs who send him on this mission, and it's the same scene almost from Apocalypse Now when Martin Sheen is there and they send him after Colonel Kurtz.
Yeah. That was speaking of that scene. It's near the beginning of the movie, but the actual opening sequence of the movie really kind of spoke to the scope of it, and because I kind of anticipated it being a smaller scale science fiction movie. I didn't know, how much Warner Bros. Had given, or I'm sorry, how much 20th Century Fox had given to Gray to make, a space movie starring Brad Pitt. But that opening sequence really sets the world up for us, and it's just, I don't know, that I didn't know how it was one of those I didn't know how he was going to get out of it. It was just riddled with tension, and then when we do see how it's going to play out, it's just like, oh, I'm in for this. I'm ready to go. And then it immediately follows with that, we're going to take you into a top secret meeting. And so I was, okay, I'm even more intrigued now. And I thought it did that well as far as story. It just, every couple minutes, every 15, 20 minutes or so, there was another kind of question or mystery set up that gauged us a little more and made us want to continue to go on this journey with its character.
I think a lot of people might come to a science fiction movie expecting a lot of action and that sort of thing, and you get it about every
that's
50
true.
minutes or so. And in between there are these long spaces of kind of contemplation and meditation. So it is much more focused on his kind of inner journey.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Than it is on the outward journey, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely, and just that they were able to kind of convey this type of personal journey through a movie like this, I thought was really neat. And I'm a sucker for science fiction anyway, and so to see a more like contemplative approach and just a very visceral and just, I don't know, it was almost like you could really reach out, and I just appreciated the visual prowess of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I felt like I could, like, this is what it would really look like if you were in those situations, which, as much as we are familiar with our solar system and the planets that we've identified and everything, you don't see a whole lot of visual representations of those on this scale, I guess. And I just really appreciated that. And so, I really enjoyed it. I thought it kind of balanced both the scope and the ideas and themes it was trying to accomplish really well. But no, any other final thoughts or anything
Is it final already?
Yeah. Anything else that stood out to you? I guess we should talk about
Brad
Pitt's
Pitt,
performance.
He was incredible. I don't think that there was any time that he wasn't on the screen.
Yeah.
Or at least, in the scene.
No, yeah.
So he was all the whole movie was him, and most of it was close up.
Right.
So it was the fact that he could carry it like that is pretty impressive, and he really was believable. He's a very stoic character.
Yeah.
And he keeps everything bottled up inside, and that causes problems with relationships with other people, especially his wife.
Right.
And in that, he's just like his father.
Yes, exactly.
And so part of the quest isn't just to find the father; it's also to expel the father from himself and become a more complete human being. Which I think he's able to do. But the fact that he portrays all of that.
Because he doesn't honestly speak very much. It is, I mean, the most he speaks. Yeah, there is a lot of voiceover, but the most he speaks is really when he's doing those psych evals,
Yeah, yeah.
and which are so consistent. I don't know how they're not conditioned to them, or they probably are. But yeah, and even in the voiceovers, it's very short to the point, like almost statements of contradictions that are wondering, which side does he land on, and where should he land as opposed to where he thinks he should, or what he assumed he would. And it was, but he carries it all, both the movie and the ideas behind it, on his shoulders, almost solely on his shoulders.
He's really having a kind of a renaissance here this summer.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, very much
with this
so.
And with the Fun Time in Hollywood.
Yes, yeah, no.
He really had a couple of great performances. Not much for women to do in this movie.
No,
Liv Tyler, I don't think she has a single line
No,
with
I don't.
him. I mean, she talks on a video.
On the video, yeah, I was gonna say. And I mean, really, like I was saying, there are other characters, other actors in this movie, but yeah, nobody has any or as much to do as Pitt. They're all there to serve his journey. Really, there's a little bit of a crew in one of the spaceships that takes him from the moon to Mars, and there's I think that's the most human interaction he gets.
And there's a little with Donald Sutherland.
That's true. That's true.
But he doesn't last very long.
No.
Spoiler.
Yeah. No, maybe not the way you think, but is that? I don't know, but no. So yeah, I was very much looking forward to this movie, and it lived up to my expectations as far as what I was hoping it would be, and even surpassed it in several regards. But here on Tavern Talk, we tend to do out of 5-star ratings. So out of 5 stars, what would you issue at ASTRA?
I really think it's one of the best movies of the year that I've seen so far.
I honestly do too. I thought you were a little more lukewarm on it, but I couldn't tell. But no, honestly, it's probably one of my favorites as well.
I mean, I'd give it 4.5 anyway.
I'm right there with you. No, it honestly is. It's. I would go see it again right now, just because I feel like there's so much going on, so many layers to it, and things I didn't necessarily pick up on. Yeah, there are the little qualms with some of the logic stuff, but it's science fiction. You can kind of look past that, especially when it's as thematically rich as this, I feel like. And so, yeah, I'm right there with you, 4.5. Anything else?
I couldn't help but make a connection between the technology that's causing these shock waves to Earth and threatening all of life, and the climate change problem.
Okay.
Which is largely the result of technology and endangers life on the planet. One of the things, I think, one of the main themes of the movie is that human beings are all we have.
Yes. Yeah.
And you really need to protect them. And have relationships with them.
Right.
And not, be totally cut off the way both Pitt and finding each other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's there's a line at one point where they're on the moon, and it's basically an airport, and he says we're planet eaters.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and he goes on to say, if my dad could see this, he'd tear it all down. But then, near the end, you get that line where he just says to himself, we're all we've got. Yeah, and then, no, I'm definitely right there with you on that part that hit me in a way that I was like, oh, okay, wow, this is, and it didn't necessarily go where I thought it would with that, but I liked where it went. And I did want to mention there was a surprising amount of just appreciation, or maybe not appreciation, but like there was no cynicism for a movie that's exploring space and everything. There was no cynicism toward the existence of God. Did you hear them? Like they would thank they it felt intentional almost that they brought it up several points and thanking him and I don't know what exactly they were going after there or what where religion or belief or anything was at this point in society, but I feel like there were definitely some hints at something more there that again, another reason I'd like to see it again.
His wife's name is Eve too. Which I thought,
Oh, that's true.
there must be a reason for that, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, we'll see it again. We'll see it again, and then we'll have to talk about it more. But no, yeah, Ad Astra. I think it's a good high recommend from both of us. And
the title, by the way,
it
means to the stars.
Okay.
But it's actually a contraction or a shortening of a Latin expression, ad astra per aspera, which means to the stars through difficulties, which is a motto of a lot of things. It's actually the motto of the Space Force in Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
It's their motto.
Okay.
It's also written on a plaque that commemorates Apollo 1, which was where the 3 astronauts were killed on the launch pad. So there's something to that title.
I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to look that up prior to seeing it and kind of understand the reference or where it comes from or why the meaning of it, and I hadn't, so I'm glad you brought that up. So thank you for that.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, well, yeah, no, like I said, definitely a high recommend from both of us, and if you're near a movie tavern, definitely be sure to check. I'm saying Ad Astra, but now you've got me self-conscious about it.
Yeah, Ad Astra.
Would you say it like that? I didn't know if you said Ad Astra.
Well, you could say Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
It probably is Ad Astra in Latin,
Yeah.
but it's Ad Astra in English.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad I wasn't saying it wrong the whole time. No, definitely check out Ad Astra on the biggest screen you can. It's definitely worth a drive and the experience of Movie Tavern to see this on the biggest screen. It definitely justifies that. So thank you for checking us out. Dr. Ruud, thank you once again for joining me. I definitely appreciate you being here and talking movies with me. Well, I have to do it again sometime whenever you want. I'm definitely down for it.
What are you doing next week?
I'm probably seeing a movie. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe. Follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. We appreciate your support. And check back next week because we try to have a new review of the biggest release every week. Thank you once again. We'll see you.